Welcome to another episode of Poko's Prime Time Pick.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Poko's Primetime Picks. I am Michael Poko. I am not our normal host, the OG Poko, but I'll be your main host today. So what we like to do on Poko's Primetime Picks is we all like football. We like playing the Survivor League football, where you pick a team each week that you think will win. And we do this in honor of my grandpa, Butch Poko, the first Poko. He really liked to do the Survivor League and do research on these teams and pick each week. And we like to get together and kind of keep him in memory for that. So we do this show with myself and my dad, his handle Poko, as well as my uncles, Uncle Scott Poko, Uncle Terry Poko, and also Uncle Scott's son, Rhino Poko. And we all like to get together, have special guests, and pick teams. Now, fear not, this is my first time being the main host, but I have a seasoned veteran, the trailblazer, along the ride with me. I'd like to welcome my co-host, my dad, Poko.
Hey, Mike, it's great to be on the show with you.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you. So I really feel really confident with you in the back seat.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this episode, and the season is starting to really ramp up. So let's get on with the show.
Now, that's for sure. So I'd like to start us off with a brand new segment. This segment is called Blitz Bits. And for those of you who enjoy the Aflac trivia that you see in the games, well, that's what we're going to have for you this week.
Ah.
Okay, so for Blitz Bits, our first question, we have two brothers facing off in one of our games. Those brothers are John and Jim Harbaugh. Now, they've faced off before. In fact, they faced off in Super Bowl. And my question for you all is, who were the two starting quarterbacks in the Harbaugh Super Bowl? The two teams were the 49ers and the Ravens. All right, so while you think about that, I'd like to go ahead and review our last week's pick. And fortunately, my Auntie Allie Poco, she went with the Green Bay Packers. And, well, that was a win. So fly the W. This also puts us at 6-5 now on the season. We're above 500. And it's also our first two-game win streak. So congrats, Auntie Allie. Nice job with that, even though that was a big stinger for a lot of the Pocos as the Green Bay beat the Bears. So, Dad, what did you think of the game?
Well, it was a heartbreaker. You know, you never want to see a Bears quarterback on their first attempt out to play the Packers. And unfortunately, it went Auntie Allie's way. We'll see what happens down the road. But it was a tight game. So
Yeah, I thought Caleb looked great in that game, especially in the fourth quarter, and we do get to play him one more time. So, yeah, good feedback, good insight. So I'd like to do a quick rundown of our personal Survivor teams in the ECAST Outcast Survivor League. There's 7 teams left, but for the rundown for our teams, I myself have 3 strikes. I knocked out a long time ago, and my two uncles, Uncle Terry, Uncle Scott, both 3 strikes out. However, my dad, Poko, is alive with 2 strikes, and he went with Detroit Lions. So way to stay alive on that. I believe they paid the Jags, and I think they put up 50-something points. So
yeah, I'm hanging in there.
yeah, hang in there, Dad. Hang in there.
All right.
A few more weeks left. So now I'd like to go to our next segment, Candidate Corner. Candidate Corner is where we like to pick some of the primetime games of the week for our Survivor League. But we like to do an extra flair on that. Not only do we go with your primetime games like your upcoming Netflix Christmas game and your Thanksgiving games and your Sunday night games on Thursday, we also like to do with the announcers, Tom Brady and Tony Romo games. So, Dad, would you please be able to give us the rundown?
Yeah, I'd love to. So Thursday night, we've got the Steelers versus the Cleveland Browns. We've already picked the Steelers, and the Cleveland Browns are a dumpster fire. For the Tom Brady game, we can't make any picks because the 49ers are at Green Bay. Go 49ers, take out the pack. For this week, one of the prima donnas, Tony Romo, is feeling a little overworked, so they're taking the week off. However, Poco Primetime Picks won't be taking any weeks off. We'll be here for you. That leads us to the Sunday night game, Philadelphia Eagles versus LA Rams. Now, we've already picked the Eagles, and they're playing really well. The Los Angeles Rams, they've looked okay, and they're kind of struggling to stay at that 500 level. So that should be an interesting game. Of course, the Eagles have to travel across the country. For the Monday night game, it's the big matchup of the brothers. It's Baltimore versus the LA Chargers. And this should be a great game to watch. Jim Harbaugh, I mean, you have to agree that his coaching pedigree is off the charts. He's doing it again at a new team. So we'll see how this goes. And that's the games for this week. Kind of slim pickings.
And I'd like to introduce a very special guest with us this week, my sister, Nicole Poko. Nicole, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, Mikey, thanks for having me. And you too, Dad. My favorite Poco men.
So, Nicole, have you had a chance to tune in and watch the last show yet?
I have had a chance to listen to the first show. I think it's awesome. I really like what you guys are doing. And although I don't follow football like you guys do, it is interesting everything that is going on and always changing with the games and the players. You guys have so much knowledge. I think that people who listen to the podcast can definitely get some good insight as to what's happening in the world of football. Yeah, and thanks for having me. And I really like the blitz bits that you guys decided to do.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, Nicole. Well, I have a couple questions for you. My first question is, do you follow football? And if yes, what is your favorite football?
So, like I had said earlier, I don't really follow football that much. Although I do like watching the game, I understand how it's played. And I've watched a lot of games with my dad and my grandpa. I like to watch football with them. And I would say, of course, by default, for the family, I'm a Bears fan, a Chicago Bears fan, and I also like the Notre Dame Fighting Irish team, the college team. That's also, the family,
Bears.
so the Bears, and I'm proud. I'm proud to be a Bears fan.
Yeah, we got a lot of Bears fans in here. That's for sure. My next question for you is, do you have any football memories that you'd like to share with?
Actually, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I was trying to think back. I don't know if I've been to a professional football game yet in my life. And I've been to many professional baseball games, but I don't think I've been to a professional NFL game. So I would love to, it had me thinking we got to go to one maybe next year. But I would say my memories are going to definitely be watching you play in high school. Mikey was really good cornerback at our high school, Samuel Clemens in Schertz, Texas. And then I have tons of memories watching all the games with my dad and my grandpa. Um, I do remember my first Super Bowl that I watched with the Bears in it back in 2004. Me and my brother were running around the living room, and Dad was watching, and I just thought it was I was just having a blast, even though they didn't win. But it was a fun time, and I remember all the excitement and like adrenaline of like getting excited. And then I didn't really understand the game that much, but I just remember it being a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for taking us down memory lane there, Nicole. Yeah, those are some good times. I do remember that Super Bowl. Yeah, that was a blast. My next question for you is, if you were going to set up an expansion team in the league, a brand new football team for the NFL, where would you?
Okay, so this is an interesting question because, we're in San Antonio, and I'm not just choosing that because we're in San Antonio, but that was the city that I went with, San Antonio, Texas. And that's because it's one of the biggest cities in the US. They call it like the little big town where it's like you may run into people that you know, even though it's such a massive city. And they have a really solid fan base here in not just in Texas, but in San Antonio, like a lot of loyal fans here of, the Spurs and all that. So I could imagine, man, if we had a team here, there would be some good fans. It'd be a lot of fun. Now I know Texas already has two other teams, so it's kind of like, maybe give another state another, team or let a state that doesn't have a team have one, but I just couldn't help it. I said San Antonio. That was my pick.
Great choice, Nicole. I do feel like San Antonio is kind of missing that pro NFL team. I know the city can have the heart for it. I think they picked up an XFL team. So I definitely think that's a great idea. Yeah, good choice. My last question for you, Nicole, is if you could change or add one thing to a football game to make it more enjoyable for you to watch, what would you change?
Think of like something, I guess, completely new. That would, just be something unheard of that you would add to the game. Although I really wanted to, I just couldn't. But there was one thing that I could think of, and that was I always know that when I watch a football game and it's, getting down to the wire, to the end, the winning team always tries to run the clock. They're always trying to say, "Hey, let's run the clock down so that way the other team has less of a chance of getting the ball back to score against us before the game ends." I personally feel like it just doesn't seem fair, especially as it happens a lot during the end of the game. So I think what would be really interesting is if during maybe the last quarter of the game, there's like this rule to where if you are purposely running down the clock and the refs know that you're purposely doing it, they actually add additional time. Or after maybe enough of like, the other team messing up. And I know sometimes the ball will go back to the other team with certain, flags and things like that. But I say add extra time. Give the other team that fair chance to fight back at the end. That's how I think the game would be more interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good choice, Nicole. I think that would make games a lot more interesting to watch. I think we'd see less blowouts, and I think people would be much more invested, especially having a team come back. Yeah, thanks so much, Nicole, for these questions. And please stick around to the end of the show if you can, because I have another question for you. All right, it's time now to reveal the answer to our very first Blitz Bits. So the question again is: in the Super Bowl where the Harbaugh brothers faced off the San Francisco 49ers versus the Baltimore Ravens, who were the two starting quarterbacks in that Super Bowl? And the answer is Colin Kaepernick for the 49ers and Joe Flacco for the Ravens. So I hope you guys got that right. Thanks for playing with us. All right, now it's time to get everybody's pick of the week. So, Dad, can you please give me your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is going to be on Monday night. I'm going to go with John Harbaugh, and I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens over the Chargers. I think Baltimore is really starting to hit on all cylinders. So that's my pick.
Yeah, that's a good pick, Dad. They're definitely looking like a Super Bowl contender. How about you, Uncle Terry? Could you give your pick of the week?
Slim pickings this week, but I will go Los Angeles Chargers to win this week. I like how they're playing, and I think they'll keep it up.
Yeah, good choice, Uncle Terry. And you know what? For my pick of the week, I'm going to tail that, and I'm also going to roll with the Los Angeles Chargers. I think, Justin Herbert is having a great season. He's starting to turn on the passing game, and that Chargers defense is no joke. So I'm going to go with the Chargers too. All right, Uncle Scott and Rhino, can you give us your picks of the week?
Before I give you my pick, I want to talk about what might have been. So a few years ago, Cubs won the World Series. Before they won, Rick Renteria was their manager, and he was under contract. He was a new manager. All of a sudden, Joe Madden became available, and just like that, the Cubs fired Renteria and signed Joe Madden, and they ended up winning the World Series. So this past season, the Bears had Eberflus, and they could have had Jim Harbaugh, possibly. They could have fired Eberflus, but of course they didn't. And now Harbaugh is with the Chargers, and he is turning them into a great team. That's why this week I'm going to pick the Chargers. I think Jim Harbaugh, the little brother, is going to take it to his big brother this weekend and get the W.
Yeah, good choice. Another one for the Chargers. Looks like we have quite a bit of Charger picks, and my dad is the lone Ravens pick. However, it's not up to us. It's actually up to the principal Poko picker. Now, the principal Poko picker, the principal is in charge. So whatever they say goes. And I would like to bring our very special guest, Nicole, back to be our principal Poko picker. So, Nicole, who will be our picks of the week?
Oh man, the pressure is on. I was originally thinking the Los Angeles Chargers because, I was born in California and I just think it's a cool team. But then I heard that dad was the loner on the Baltimore Ravens, and now I'm like thinking, dad is the OG, the expert. Man, I'm torn. You know what? I'm going to do the Baltimore Ravens. I switched it up.
All right, Nicole, welcome aboard.
Thanks.
The last time I was on an island, it didn't go that well, but hopefully with you on the island with me, things will be better.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, there you have it. The principal Poko picker gets the final say. So we're rolling with the Baltimore Ravens. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for joining the show. It was a blast to have you on. We really appreciate it.
All right, I'm honored. Yeah, thanks for having me. And I just want you guys to know that I wouldn't know everything I know about football if it wasn't for you two. So thank you.
Now, before I'd like to close out the show, I'd like to say thank you, everyone else, for tuning in. All right, with that, I'd like to say goodbye, everyone. Don't forget to hit to click like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in to Poko's Primetime Picks.
Well, thank you. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.